City Boy #3, written by Greg Pak, with art by Minkyu, Jung, Sunny Gao, and Wes Abbott. So here we are, continuing our Cameron Kim story. In the previous issue, Cameron had lost his shit trying to deal with Boss Chung and Inner Gang and manifested the city into a gigantic dragon monster until Superman came and pretty much just destroyed the spirit of the city and only just done pissed it off for this issue. But ultimately, this whole thing, the setup for City Boy, which had you and me both excited. We have this kid, and he has this power that's been given to him by the forces of Apocalypse. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it awakened him to the voices of individual cities and allowed him to communicate with it and do different interesting things overall. Now it's been 10 years later, and they're coming for him, and they want this power to be used to make it into to turn this world into a new apocalypse. Because if the city expands and, unleashes itself, it'll just be all concrete and steel, and then apparently fire pits will shoot up. But this is the vision that Makari's son and Darkseid have planned for Cameron with their work with Inner Gang. But now Superman's involved. And it's such a weird idea because right away, this tells us that even though we thought, and the way the story played out, this takes place before Lazarus Planet, where Cameron got those additional powers from the Lazarus Rain. But it turns out Superman's telling us, no, that Lazarus Planet already happened, and his powers have already changed from what they originally were, and this is them what they are now. I'm like, I don't get it. How it throws me off completely, because we have this background of all these things happening to Cameron that, set him off, where his mother leaves him, he's experimented on, and then he's experimented on again. Nowhere in that backstory previously was, and then I got rained on, and the freaking spirit of Gotham was a trash monster on my shoulder. All of that was omitted, but apparently just so we have a reference to Superman knowing Cameron Kim because of what he saw in Nightwing during Lazarus Planet, we have to have that thrown in, like, oh, you ruined that.
Yeah, and it is a little timing issue. We haven't seen those, up ante powers, and they kind of... And
apparently we have. I don't know.
What I thought was, because at the end, you end up having Cameron go off to Bloodhaven. I actually just thought at the end of this issue, we were going to go, hey, I got to go off to... And it, as we get into it, one panel, hey, Lazarus Rain hit, we're going to do this, whatever. But it's already happened. He says that Nightwing already told him all about him.
So weird.
The big play of this, and it is a middle issue. We're at issue #3 of 6, so I get it. But I wanted something bigger. Superman's here, and it feels like, Greg Pak realizes I can't go full Superman because he's not the star of the book. So Superman plays off that deal. He's very wishy-washy throughout. It's
he goes John Kent. This is what I'm talking about. He is just idealistic Superman, where when the problem is solved and we stop Cameron's, Metropolis dragon monsters from rampaging the city, it's just, all right, let's spend a few pages where I sit down, get face-to-face with young Cameron here and talk about what makes a hero a hero.
And it's weird, too, because, again, I understand it more here because of the fact that it's a City Boy book and you can't get it overwhelmed by Superman. It makes more sense than John Kent in his own book doing nothing. But I love the idea where at points Cameron's like, well, I don't know. Could I be, am I a villain, a hero? Well, a hero is what a hero does. And a villain, he kind of does things too. But a hero,
look, Cameron, everybody's just trying to do their best. The thing is, Superman, they're not. I see pieces of shit every day. Well, they're trying to do their best, Cameron.
That's all. He's double talking the whole time. My favorite part, though, and we'll go into it a little more detail, but my favorite part is as they're there talking about all that, and he's like, yep, looks like we're going to have to help clean up. Right? Oh, no, he's leaving. Cameron's like, at least we know he's smart. He's like, I'm phasing the hell out of here. Well, Cameron,
your Metropolis dragon monster did cause a hell of a wreckage over here. You know what I'm going to do? Me being Superman, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to help clean up all of this mess. You want to help me? No? Okay, Cameron.
I love that he's almost all completely. The way phased through the building.
And the thing is, he does go down and help a little bit, but then takes off.
Then he takes off. He did so
even the idea of phasing through the building and stuff like that. I want to see more of these powers because that idea of being a part of the city and just being able to walk through it and go wherever you want as long as it's a part of the cityscape. That is so cool to me. And even the idea of manifesting into this dragon monster when you lose your cool. It's cool as well, but then it becomes its own thing because you're awake in the city, but Cameron's control over it is pretty much just slight. You make a gigantic Metropolis dragon monster that decides, hey, I don't need to listen to this young kid over here. I'm going to expand my city because I'm Metropolis and not even a Superman can talk me down. But eventually, using the City Boy powers where this Cameron can see everything that ever happened in the city, going back, pretty much looking into the past and seeing the time when he was abandoned by his mother and taken in by his grandfather, he's going to feel real sad in the city. It's going to feel real sad for him too. So I'm going to I'm going to shake off this monstrous stuff, and I'm going to be a little cute little dragon. I'm going to hang out on your shoulder, Cameron.
Yeah, and it's funny because you do end up, and it's just a raging. I wanted it to make sense, like the idea that, okay, here's Metropolis. What would it be? Like the idea that it just sees, oh, there's little boy Cameron, and he's sad, so it doesn't really do much. But as it's rampaging, Superman goes up and it's like, hey there, Metropolis, you know who I am, because who doesn't? I'm Superman. How about you calm down? And basically it says,
I do what I want.
I do what I want. And starts going.
Suck it, Superman.
He comes down and says, hey, Cameron, can you go talk to the Metropolis Dragon? All right, but you're Superman. What am I going to say? And you do end up, as it's expanding the deal, you do have that play where he starts singing. And it's very loosey-goosey, though. And like you said, we still don't really know his power set. We want to know more about him. Yeah, we understand his mom abandoned him. And then we see that again. We don't really see much. I said in that song, I need to know what happened to the grandfather. That guy might have just died of old age.
He died.
Yes,
Yeah.
But, he's on his own.
And now
he's
Cameron's
out on the
outdoors,
streets.
He
is outdoors. So you have all that. You have, inner gang. They end up, zapping off.
Well, how disappointing is that? Because we have the first 2 issues of City Boy. We're getting introduced to Cameron Kim like more than we did for the Lazarus Planet. We we're trying to figure out a timeline, and apparently that didn't work. But the idea that this boy is like a necessity for Darkseid to take over this world through all this stuff. You have Dr. Makari's son, who might be actually the son of Makari or just one of Makari's forms. I don't know, but you have Inner Gang working for him. You got Bruno Mannheim showing up. You have all of these cool things showing up, and then Superman as well, just for the end of this whole thing to be like, well, Inner Gang and the Apocalyptians, they done took off, and now Cameron's going to Bloodhaven. I'm like, you could have done so much cooler things. Like, I feel like you better be following his ass to Bloodhaven and doing some Inner Gang shit over there, because you had everything lined up for you with those first 2 issues. The most incredible origin story and beginning to a series ever, with all these big facets.
Darkseid and things involved, yeah.
Boom, tube away, and like, well, I guess that's over. I'm like, you better not be over.
Yeah, so when you're going through this, again, you end up one point you do end up having Cameron. He jumps on the Metropolis Dragon. They never-ending story around.
Never-ending story.
I never got the idea of, okay, I understand Metropolis would be this sort of thing, and it would feel, but it's just he's a little boy who's crying.
I'm just telling
behind.
you, the worst part is when he never-ending stories away, I really wanted those Boss Chung goons that were left behind to be running down the alley and jump into a freaking dumpster as he flew by. I needed that part from Never-ending Story. If you're going to go,
that would
if
have
you're
been
going to
good.
do Never-ending Story, go full Never-ending Story.
Yeah, and remember, again, the reason all this is happening, because he can, through the city, see what happened in the past, so they're right there.
Like, there's a lot of cool ideas to these powers. Like, I don't know if it's just because we're so, like, invested in Night Terrors right now, and City Boy, like, we like it enough, but it's not one of those, like, standout kind of books at the moment. Like, we've seen different things, but I don't know if I've actually taken the time to think during our read-throughs and talk about it. The individual power sets of City Boy, the idea where he could see all these things, like even to the point where he's following his mother's taxi from 10 years ago, like just through a vision of the past and like all these different things. He has such a cool power set besides for creating, city monsters. And I want to see more.
He sees that his mom did ditch him, but he knew that. And
that's what the Bloodhaven for some reason.
The weird play, though, in this, and again, I said you can't go too Superman. Superman's too big a character. You're going to mess up your book with it. But you have him here, and he just ends up like, at this point, I don't get the idea. Okay, that Cameron, he's pretty good. He's pretty cool with that. No, his anger just made a damn, monster. He ends up being with it for a second, but this is a point where you need somebody to watch out for Cameron and help him out. And Superman's just
Cameron's got to find his own way.
He's like, yeah, I'm good. The best is, I swear to God, Batman calls right
after.
What are you
doing, helicopter superheroing?
This is the thing. Naomi fucked everybody. They're never going to help somebody out. They're like, we tried helping her, and look what happened. I mean, she was on the Justice League, and you would have thought that maybe Superman could have led. And actually, I thought maybe John would have been a better play here instead of Cal because of the age and things like that, and could have been a cool little play that. And then going to Bloodhaven may have had a connection with Nightwing, but he's off to Bloodhaven. But I don't know what happened here.
If I'm Homeless City Boy and I'm like conflicted about what I want to do with my powers, because I see myself and pretty much everybody else as a monster because of what's actually going on inside of them. I don't know if a contemporary boy my age, like who happens to be Superman, would actually be able to talk to me and stuff. But when you get the larger-than-life Superman, I think that is a bit bigger than a John Kent to me.
But he doesn't do anything. He says, hey, a hero's a hero, and a villain could be better, and you're kind of cool. And then they leave.
I'm just saying, if John Kent showed up, I just imagine like if he said the same thing, it would just have more of an impact to Superman.
No, I think
John
could
Kent
be a friend. The kid has no friends. I mean, he's there. His
he's
only
got Fujimoto.
friend is Fujimoto, some old-ass homeless guy who looks like me. You don't need that.
I just want to know what Fujimoto is going to do, because when, Cameron realizes that he can use his powers to, like, follow the image of his mother's card, I'm guessing Bloodhaven, because next issue says Bloodhaven, he leaves the miniaturized little playful Spirit of Metropolis dragon with Fujimoto on his shoulder. I'm like, what's he doing with that thing? And do you need to feed the Spirit of Metropolis?
I don't know. And the thing is, we knew already that the family was from Gotham. He knew that, but now all of a sudden he's like, well, it looks like that car's heading down that road to Bloodhaven. Off we go. I don't know. It's a weird connection in there. Even at points, too, like people are fighting about cars. I'm like, I don't even know what's happening here. But yeah, overall, I thought it was kind of a nothing issue. It's okay. I didn't get upset about it.
I'm telling you, Superman actually drags us down, because I'm looking for the adventures of Cameron here, and Superman's like, hey, I'm Superman, I'm doing stuff. Hey, Cameron, you're the greatest. I believe in you. Okay, I'm going to go do it. Like, for some reason, Superman just takes all the agency out of this book, even though Cameron doesn't, still needs to decide on his own what he wants to do and how he's going to help and what kind of person he's going to be with the power set that he has. It's just Superman being here becomes too big for the book, and he actually overshadows Cameron with all the stuff going on. And even when we do have Cameron, it's just foreshadowing back to the stuff that we already saw in flashbacks in the first issue about him being abandoned. So we're back on that when all I care about is that initial story that they set up with him being in the wrong place at the wrong time with his apocalyptic experiment, and what that has to do. Hopefully that's part continues, because that is so interesting. But if we're just going to go and try to find Cameron's mother, I just don't know what we can really do with that, except for, hey, I wonder what the Spirit of Bloodhaven looks like.
Well, it's going to look like crap, Eric. But you end up where...
Well, it is a fishing town, isn't it? So it's going to be wharfy?
Yeah, maybe Wharfy. It actually got transformed by the sea. Eric, when you end up all this going on, what we need, we're halfway done, and we don't know the power. We need the power set, and this would have been the issue where when Superman comes,
you don't even know the power set.
They come down, but maybe Superman could come, because Batman's the one who would come. Batman would be thinking okay, they did it with Naomi. Remember where we're going to have to test things out?
Let's not bring that up.
They can do that, but I'm just saying we need something to go with, hey, because if you just saw what he made and you're Superman, you say, well, what are your powers, Cameron? I don't know. All right, I'm going to have to
Well, that's the question here.
You can't just let him go.
What are your powers after Makari's son experimented on you, and what are your powers now that the Lazarus Reign happened and changed them somehow?
And if he says, I don't know, we better do something to figure that out, only if to help Cameron himself.
And not destroy the city and or world by, enacting the spirit of cities.
And it is true that, I mean, I know Makari's son and that is the best, but it was the actions of Cameron, City Boy, that is kind of starting to turn the planet into an apocalypse with fire pits.
Look,
so you have to watch that doesn't happen.
I want to think that Cameron had it all under control until Superman came and rabbit punched the dragon Spirit of Metropolis monster in the last issue that set it off.
Well, it's because Superman isn't going to stand there and hear somebody say, I am the city, and just let that go.
Whoa,
Superman has pride. He thinks he's
I'm the man of tomorrow. Right? This is the city of tomorrow. This is my big apricot.
So when you're doing this, at some point, when are we going to find out the powers? When are we going to get this? Because we're getting too far in to then think that that's going to happen, that maybe by the end, I don't know, whatever. And you need those set up. Some people are still even saying, I don't know, I'm not going to read this. It's just a wannabe, which it's not. He's different, but I can't really say how different.
Jack Hawksmoor wannabe. But he's already better in my mind.
Yeah, but we don't know the power set.
Take that, Wildstorm.
Really? He made a dragon?
Well, he's outdoors,
he made a trash monster, and he's homeless. I don't know. I think that the bigger play with the Apocalyptians and McCarthy, I think that upped the ante, obviously.
I agree.
If they get rid of that, there's problems, Eric. But yeah, the art is still good. But going off to Bloodhaven, it feels like that's like part 2. We don't need a part 2.
Well, I just hate the idea that we're doing with Monkey Prince. It was like, all right, let's spend a few issues in this town. Let's go to this town. Let's go to this town. I'm like, Why can't we just have one story in one location? Why can't we stay in Metropolis and deal with all the cool stuff that you already set up?
And now we're going to get to the point because we have liked this series. The first 2 issues we liked a lot, then we get to this. And I'm hoping not to get to that point, like I said about, say, a Hawk Girl or even the Blue Beetle book. The idea, oh man, I just wanted to know why I should think that City Boy's cool, what his powers are. And because this first 6 issues, you hammer that out, hope that people like what you're doing, and then continue. Then go to fucking Bloodhaven and chase your mom. Let's do the big thing because people were really into it. Like, oh my God, Dark Side. Oh my God, and now that kind of gets pushed aside. I hope it doesn't get pushed aside completely because that's going to take a lot of wind out of the sails of this book. But what would you give it?
Ultimately, it's weird because I want to give it a 6 out of 10, but it seemed like such a lackluster bit of storytelling for everything that was built up to it. Just to say, well, I made a dragon and all my bad guys are gone. Superman gave me a talking to, and now I'm off to Bloodhaven. It just feels like I want to go to a 5.5, but I feel like that's where I've been like the entire time so far, except for that 5 for John Kent. And it's such I'm going to give it a 5. I'm going to give it a 5.8 out of 10 because I still like City Boy and I like seeing him use his powers and stuff like that. It's just everything that I was invested in the story seemed to have gone away here.
Yeah, I'll go 6. I like the art and I'm still interested. And I while you were saying that, I was thinking more about Superman. And I do think that Superman being so laissez-faire about things, that did lessen every bit of stakes that it seemed. And you said it earlier. The book didn't feel like it was really doing anything because Superman shows up and he's just like, yeah, whatever. He's like, hang loose, cowabunga, dude. This is what he's doing. And it's just like, doesn't really play out. Like I would have liked at that point, instead of Superman saying, hey, you want to help me clean up? You want that bunch of fun? Maybe he should have said, listen,
you want to go to Supercorp?
I'm going to have to figure this out. I'm going to have to call Batman. We're going to have to we'll take you to Supercorp. Let's go to Star. And then when he turns around, Cameron's like, fuck this. I got things to do. And he runs away. Maybe that would have been a better play. Like, oh my God, like he can't stay around because they're going to keep him away from things. And it just almost like a Blue Beetle.
It would work good because we are in Metropolis. You have Supercorp right there with everything under Superman's disposal. Bringing Batman in makes sense because they are the world's finest. And why wouldn't you bring Batman in? I want there to be a moment where you could have that fun, and I'm guessing it'll be in the Superman book, but it just makes so much sense with City Boy Cameron here for everything he's going through, Naomi-esque, to have the situation. Because I just want to see Batman and Superman have funny banter in Supercorp when Batman finally gets to see everything at Superman's disposal.
Now, again, because of the dawn of DC, and it kind of got derailed a bit or stopped on a pause because of the whole
Night Terrors,
spooky Summerween. Boy, it would have been cool and a way to get people excited of what could happen later on, where we still, Lex, right now he's bleeding out, unfortunately. But if things were progressed,
everybody's asleep and he's bleeding out.
Just imagine they do go to Supercorp. You end up having Batman and Superman with that banner. But in the side, Lex is taking a little bit too much interest in old City Boy. Like, I'm going to have to, hey, Mercy, take this note, do this. That could have been a really cool way to think, oh my God, this character could end up being something bigger, even weird. In the Superman book.
And we have a 6-issue mini going on, and who's to say that we have enough story to keep us going for City Boy? Why not have a tie into the Superman book if we can to keep momentum for these, We Are Legends books as well?
Again, and that would be a cool way to bring it into the fold and also think, because that would make this book and City Boy feel bigger then.
Yeah.
Oh my God, like Lex might have plans for him later. Like that's crazy.
Darkseid does already.
Yeah, even if you put it aside and again, that would be something that, would really intrigue Lex. Man, if this is important to them, we could really use it. And then it would be a really cool play. But instead, I don't feel like cleaning up. I'm heading to Bloodhaven. All right. There you go. So hopefully it gets back on track, though, when you get to that. I have a feeling because when they first announced it, you mentioned Monkey Boy. Or Monkey Prince. Monkey Boy.
What's up, Monkey Boy?
Prince. Hey, it's TGI. The Monkey Prince, where we ended up, and it felt weird at the beginning with a weird Batman and Robin, and then we just had, hey, let's go city to city.
It felt weird in Aquaman parts, and it didn't get good until we went to Metropolis, and we're in Metropolis now. Everything is better in Metropolis. Once we leave there, it's awful.
Yeah, and I think that the play, he's going to go and try to figure out what happened to his mom. But
she ditched you.
I like him being, and that's.
You think she has a new family, and he's just going to be looking in the window as like she celebrates Christmas with her new family?
He's there, and then he he ends up making the block fold in and crush them all.
You know what I just realized? The thing is, all I'm picturing is that one scene in Catch Me If You Can when he goes and finds his mother and she has a new family and it's Christmas time. That's all I'm thinking of.
I just think he goes and she's dead and he goes to the grave. There you go.
Okay.
The end. But yeah,
Grandpa and Ma?
It's been a while. I guess what he really wants to know is why did you ditch me? And I'm saying that I said that I think she was out hooking.
The economy.
And seriously, she went to Bloodhaven. You know, the sailors are in town for a few days to thrill. But
she went to go work at the casinos. What's wrong with you?
I think that as a showgirl. And on the side, maybe some happy endings. Well, you're doing a little extra. But I think that the play will be, well, I thought you'd have a better life in Metropolis. It's probably one of those.
And I agree.
I like a hero, though, to be established in a city, and there's no reason to leave Metropolis in this. You should have kept Metropolis city. And gone with that, yeah.
You could even explore into more of Suicide Slums or even A-Town. Give us that synergy throughout the dawn of DC.
You could have even went, because I would think that different neighborhoods and things like that might even have their own little trash monsters. You might have that whole play.
Little heroin needle monsters around here.
Cool. It's like a heroin. Right there. Use me. You know, you have the heroin deal. It'd be great. I'm the best. Look at me. I'm Plunger. I don't know. You could add some fun with it.
I'll make you feel real good.
The first one's free, city boy. Yeah, by the end, it is kind of disappointing. I'm still sick, though. I'm still interested.
I'm interested, too. It's just a down issue.